Welcome back. This is the second segment speaking with Laura Crider about a quote unquote major achievement and major lifestyle change in her life. She have gone from one particular body size to half her size. And actually, she has been able to achieve landmarks in terms of body weight changes that she didn't achieve when she was in her 20s. So, this is a major type of success. So, on that note, Laura, let me ask you, how did you do it? And what advice you will have to people who wants to accomplish something similar?
I was going to say, again, it all goes back to, I think the biggest key is consistency of effort.
Consistency of effort.
That's, to me, the biggest key. Because whatever you do, you must do it consistently. Not perfectly, consistently. And that's the thing. I'm a natural perfectionist, and that's been one of my problems in the past. You know, you have one thing you eat off plan, or it's not a good choice. Oh, I've blown it. I give up. That was a
Oh, I see,
problem with
I
me in
see.
the past. Being the perfectionist, it had to be perfect. And now I've kind of like been a lot more self-forgiving and easy to say, okay, that wasn't a great choice. It could have been worse. I could take that approach. Or, that was a bad choice. The next choice will be better. And you really have to be flexible. You can't be inflexible as a perfectionist that I was and be successful. You can be short term successful, I think, as a perfectionist, but not long term. And that's where some of the rubber really has met the road for me. Because it's like, yeah, you're not going to eat perfect 100% of the time. And that is the thing. I tell people 70% of the time, if you can make good choices, you will see a result. And I really think that, and that gives you, some flexibility. You didn't gain weight, I didn't become 270 pounds by eating one bad meal. You're not going to come 134 pounds by eating one good meal. And that's where in our heads we sometimes we think we're going to lose 50 pounds overnight. And that's where you got to stop it. You got to really be realistic, consistent, realistic with what you're doing. And again, small, many goals. And it's like I did not do any physical exercise until I had lost about 30 pounds.
Ah, how interesting. So,
Mm-hmm.
let me then, on that note, ask you, walk us through this process. How did it start,
Oh, okay.
and then what you started doing? Because I find interesting when you say, well, I didn't do any exercising until I have achieved about a 30 pounds loss. That, that
That's
that's so,
contrary to
so
what you hear.
see?
Uh-huh.
So, help us to understand your process from beginning to end.
The first change
Uh-huh.
I made was I told myself I need to eat one whole piece of fruit a day. That does not sound like a big deal, but to me, for me, it was a big deal.
Uh-huh.
And so I would bring either an apple or a banana or something and set it on my desk. And my goal for that day was to eat that. Like I said, it doesn't sound like much, but for me, who hasn't eaten a lot of fruits and vegetables for a long time, it was a major step. So as I started doing that, after I did that, okay, then I need to drink water, and I like my water with lemon. So it's like the next thing was to make sure I was drinking 4 to 6 glasses, sitting at my desk, and yes, taking lots of breaks, and then eating that piece of fruit. Well, that one piece of fruit became a second piece of fruit, and the process continued from there to different changes. Like I said, first the changes I was making was here and with what I was consuming. I knew exercise needed to come into play,
Mm-hmm.
but if you're not ready for it, don't do it because you can be very successful. There are a lot of people who are immobile who can still lose weight. You don't have to have physical activity, and that's a common myth with weight loss. People think
Really?
you have to exercise. You don't have to. Your eating is the major, probably 95% of what you eat is more important than what you do.
Wow.
So that was in my head, even though I like doing things, I was like focusing strictly on what I was eating, trying to stick to my daily allowance that I had, and making sure I was trying to get enough fruits and vegetables and dairy products, which is another story. I'm lactose intolerant, so I had to work around that by taking lactate pills, which work. I had to also make sure I was drinking, like I said, enough water, making sure I made myself, I hate taking pills of any kind, I made myself start taking a multivitamin, and trying to lay some basic foundations to keep building on. So through time, like I said, it was around March, mid March in 2013, after I had lost around 30 pounds, I said, I think I'm going to put on shoes and I'm going to go out and walk.
Oh,
I'm going to walk for 10 minutes. I went out and walked. It didn't kill me. I was shocked. I didn't die. So I said, maybe I'll do 15. And just slowly building that up. And when it becomes May or June in Florida, it's not the most fun place to
Right.
walk. But I kept going.
How did you do that? Because truly it gets to be.
That's when you kind of have to alter. You do it either early in the morning or later in the evening. And like I said, I was just determined. And my mother, at this time, after I had lost about 30 pounds, she saw how successful I was being. She rejoined Weight Watchers, and she and I started walking together. A walking buddy is another great aid. So
Walking by, yeah, with your mother. I love
yeah,
it.
and she was using a cane. She was in pain when we first started. It was very rough going for her and for me. And so, amazingly, like I said, through time and persistence and consistency, you build up the distance, you build up the time. And it's just a slow building process. I did not have a goal time in my head to accomplish this. It was just, I needed to lose 5 pounds. Keep that in mind. I just need to lose 5 pounds. That was constantly, I've lost 2 pounds. I got 3 more to go. And then it was the next 5 pounds. So like I said, I kept playing, and I call it mental games because it was. You have to keep your mind engaged in it and keep it focused on what you're doing. Even if you have to play games with yourself, it's worth it.
Yeah. When you say playing games with yourself, help me understand. What did that mean?
Well, to me, even setting like the little small goals, that's playing a game with yourself. You're focusing so minutely that you stay focused on that minute piece, and you keep working at it till you accomplish it. And it's even like, walking. I made it down, 6 blocks. Well, tomorrow I'm going to go 7 blocks. And you keep challenging yourself. Like I said, to me, that's playing a game with yourself. You keep challenging yourself to go a little further, go a little longer.
I see.
And
That kind of game.
That's the kind of game I'm talking about.
Got it.
And you keep telling yourself, this is good. Keep doing it. It's good for you. And that's another component that's very essential in getting things done, is a positive self-talk.
Self-talk. Very good.
I grew up with a lot of negative self-talk. So not only was I a perfectionist, I had a lot of negative tapes going on in my head. So I have to make a very conscious effort. You can do this. This is good. Keep going. You're worth the effort. It's good for you. I had to keep constantly talking to myself in order to start making some positive tapes in my head. So that is another, you have to kind of overcome, those are the kind of barriers I had to overcome, is a lot of negative tapes because of perfectionism. See, you didn't walk that far. You should, this is a waste of your time, Instead, you say, I walked 5 blocks today. Tomorrow I'm going to do 6. Or I walked for 20 minutes today. Tomorrow I'm going to try 22 minutes. So that's the kind of positive reinforcement. And I think that's what kept me going. Reaching those little tiny things kept positive reinforcement coming into my very negative head. So then it started turning around eventually, where it's like, yeah, I'm enjoying this. This is not bad. So, each little success builds another success.
Fascinating. Now, in that perspective, so as you were achieving this, did you have any companions? Did you have any support, any coaching? I can see your mother now becoming a walking body.
Mm-hmm.
So that brought that concept to mind. Whom else was at help?
Well, what has been very fascinating, a lot of people say they have a lot of negative people, their friends suddenly don't treat them the same, you're just going overboard. Well, everybody without exception, my coworkers, my friends, were very supportive. I think they knew how bad. In fact, even the friend who was a doctor came back to me later and said, I knew you were really struggling, but I also know you well enough to know if I'd opened my mouth, you would have told me, none of your business. Shut up. Get out of my face. He used different words, and I'm not going to repeat those, but he was probably right. So it was something that no one can lead you there. You have to lead yourself. And I think that's a big thing.
What about any medications?
Any medications? I have been very blessed to have generally very good health. The only medications I've been taking are allergy medicines.
So no medication for this weight loss at all?
No, nothing connected with weight loss. And I'm saying the only physical medication I was on was allergy medicine, which I will say is an interesting side note. My allergies haven't been as bad.
Really?
There is some sort of connection between weight loss and allergies. I know your body chemistry will change, there's all kinds of hormonal shifts. And I can tell you, I'm not supplementing my allergy meds. I was supplementing my allergy meds 2 or 3 times a year. Last year, I took 1 additional allergy pill. 1.
Very
This
good.
year so far, none additional.
Kudos to you.
So like I said, there's all kinds of things that domino out of this.
I see that. Now, to complete this segment, is there any other important question I should have asked you to understand? How did you make it? And also, what kinds of specific suggestions will you have for anybody willing or interested in engaging in a sort of big weight change or weight loss process?
I think one of the big questions that people need to ask themselves, number one, is why they want to do it. I think that you have to know why you're doing what you're doing. You have to identify that. And I'm going to probably risk stepping on toes a little bit, but if your reason is purely to look better, there's other questions that you need to answer in other capacities.
I see.
I think, you've got to be very careful, because I think expectations of weight loss can be and are often overplayed. I think a lot of times society thinks you're going to be attractive, you're going to be happy, you're going to be rich, you're going to be this. I got news. If you were depressed before you lost weight, you're still going to be depressed afterwards. Those are other issues. They can have some effect, but those issues have to be resolved. So if you have other underlying issues, resolve those before you probably attempt the weight loss, or you may be a little disappointed with the results. And I was going to say, whenever somebody makes a decision, they've got to truly, fully commit to what they're doing. You can't just verbally say, I want to lose 50 pounds. You have to, number one, know yourself. What's your weaknesses? Are you an excuse maker? Are you a person who gives up? You get bored? You have to learn how to work around your personality traits to make those strengths instead of weaknesses during weight loss. Because if you let your emotions rule you, you're never going to get any place other than you wish you would lose 50 pounds.
I see. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this.